Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Today's important question: should schools eliminate final exams? It's a topic with strong opinions. Joining us are two experienced educators, Ms. Sarah Chen, a high school teacher who supports alternatives to final exams, and Mr. David Miller, a university lecturer who believes final exams are necessary. Each will give an opening statement, followed by two discussion rounds with my questions. Then, they'll offer closing statements. Let's begin with Ms. Chen.
Thank you, Mr. Harrison. Good morning. I believe final exams are not the best method to evaluate what students have truly learned. They can often be counterproductive. Firstly, final exams create significant stress and anxiety for students. This pressure can negatively affect their performance, regardless of their actual understanding. Many students who know the material well might do poorly just because of exam day nerves. This isn't a fair measure of their knowledge. Secondly, exams often lead to cramming, where students memorize information just for the test and forget it soon after. This isn't genuine learning. True education should focus on deep understanding and applying knowledge, not just short-term memorization for a single high-stakes test. Lastly, there are better ways to assess students. Projects, presentations, and continuous assessment through regular, smaller tests can provide a more complete view of a student's abilities and progress over time. These alternative methods allow students to demonstrate a wider range of skills, such as critical thinking, creativity, and collaboration. They also reduce the intense pressure of a single final exam. These assessments can show how a student learns and improves throughout the course, giving a more accurate picture of their capabilities. Therefore, I argue for a shift towards more holistic and less stressful assessment methods that truly reflect student learning.
Good morning, Mr. Harrison. Ms. Chen. I appreciate Ms. Chen's points, but I maintain that final exams are a crucial component of education. They serve several vital functions. Firstly, final exams provide a fair and objective standard for assessing all students. Everyone faces the same test under identical conditions. This consistency is vital for making unbiased judgments about student performance, especially for university entry or job prospects. Without such standardized tests, it becomes very difficult to compare students from different schools or teachers accurately. Secondly, exams prepare students for real-world pressures. University studies and professional life frequently involve assessments where one must perform under timed conditions. Final exams teach students how to handle this pressure, manage their study time effectively, and consolidate their learning. These are essential skills. They learn to organize large amounts of information and recall it when needed, which is a valuable cognitive exercise. Thirdly, the existence of a final exam motivates students to engage more deeply with the material throughout the year. It encourages discipline and consistent effort. This structured goal helps students to take their studies seriously and develop a good work ethic that will benefit them later in life. So while improvements can always be made, final exams remain an indispensable tool for evaluation and preparation.
Thank you both for your opening statements. Ms. Chen, Mr. Miller says exams are fair as they're the same for all. How can alternatives like projects be equally fair? Aren't they more subjective, depending on a teacher's opinion?
That's a fair question. Alternative assessments can be made objective by using clear and detailed marking guides or rubrics. These rubrics clearly define the expectations for students and the criteria for marking. All students are assessed against these same standards. Also, continuous assessment can be fairer as it evaluates progress over time, not just performance on a single high-pressure day. It shows a student's consistent effort and understanding. This approach can better reflect a student's true abilities and reduce the impact of a single bad day.
Thank you, Ms. Chen. Mr. Miller, Ms. Chen mentioned student stress from exams. Is stress always bad? Doesn't some pressure help learning?
That's an important point. A moderate amount of stress, or What we might call eustress can indeed be a positive motivator. It can help students focus and push themselves to achieve. Life itself presents many stressful situations, whether in higher education or in their careers. It's not realistic or helpful to try to remove all sources of pressure from students' lives. Instead, we should teach students effective strategies to manage stress. Exams, in a way, provide a controlled environment to develop and practice these coping skills. Learning to perform under pressure is a valuable skill that exams help to cultivate.
Ms. Chen, back to you. Mr. Miller might worry alternatives aren't as reliable as exams. For example, how do we prevent cheating on projects or ensure consistent marking between schools?
Preventing cheating is a concern for all types of assessment, including exams. With projects, we can design tasks that require unique, personal responses and regular check-ins. Teachers need good training in designing and marking these assessments fairly and consistently. Professional development in this area is key. We can also use a variety of assessment types throughout the year. This mix means we are not relying on just one method. This way, we get to see more of what a student can actually do, including important skills like teamwork, creativity, and problem solving, which exams often miss.
Mr. Miller, Ms. Chen suggests teacher training for consistent marking of these alternative assessments. But with so many schools and teachers, is it realistic to get such standardization with projects compared to a national exam?
Achieving true standardization across numerous schools and teachers with subjective assessments like projects is extremely challenging, I believe. National exams are carefully designed by assessment experts to be standardized. They undergo rigorous processes to ensure every student faces an equivalent challenge. With project-based work, even with rubrics and training, the interpretation and application of those rubrics can vary significantly from one teacher or school to another. This potential for inconsistency could lead to unfairness when students are competing for limited university places or job opportunities. It's a serious concern.
Let's move to our second round of discussion. Mr. Miller, Ms. Chen argued that exams often test memorization rather than genuine, deep understanding. What is your perspective on that?
I think that's an oversimplification of what good exams do. While some memorization is fundamental, you need to know basic facts and concepts. Well-designed exams go much further. They are constructed to test a student's ability to apply knowledge, to analyze information, to solve problems, and to think critically. These are not just memory exercises. For example, an exam might ask students to compare different theories, or apply a formula to a new situation. This requires understanding, not just recall. So, a good exam definitely tests more than just what students can memorize. It assesses how they can use their learning.
Ms. Chen, Mr. Miller believes that exams are important for preparing students for future pressures they will face in university or their careers. Do you think that alternative assessment methods can also adequately prepare students for these kinds of high-pressure situations?
Absolutely. Many alternative assessments also involve pressure and deadlines, which help build resilience. For example, preparing and delivering a major presentation to a class can be quite challenging. Working on a complex group project with a strict deadline also teaches students time management, responsibility, and how to perform under pressure. These activities develop crucial skills like planning, research, problem solving, collaboration, and effective communication, all vital for future success. So yes, students learn to handle pressure, but perhaps in a more constructive way that also builds a wider range of practical skills than just exam taking.
Mr. Miller, a common concern is that some students are naturally not good at taking tests, even if they have a strong understanding of the material. Do exams inherently put these capable students at a disadvantage?
It's true that some students find the exam format more challenging than others. No single assessment system can perfectly suit every individual student's strengths. However, schools can and do provide support for students who experience significant test anxiety or have learning differences. This can include extra time or special arrangements. The goal is to make the assessment as fair as possible. While not perfect, exams are generally a robust way to test most students' knowledge in a comparable manner. We should focus on providing appropriate support and teaching test-taking strategies, rather than abandoning a fundamentally sound method of evaluation for this reason alone.
And Ms. Chen, if schools were to eliminate final exams, how can universities and employers be confident that students are adequately prepared for higher education or the workforce? What would effectively replace that final, comprehensive test as a signal of readiness?
Universities and employers could look at a broader range of evidence. Students could compile portfolios showcasing their best work across different subjects throughout their final years of school. These portfolios could include research papers, project reports, creative work, and evidence of practical skills. Teacher recommendations, based on long-term observation, would also be very valuable. Furthermore, if universities feel it's necessary, they could still use their own specific entrance tests tailored to the skills needed for particular courses. A comprehensive record of continuous assessment throughout a student's school career would offer a rich picture of their abilities and readiness, possibly more so than a single exam score. Thank you. In closing, I want to restate my main concerns about final exams. They often place immense stress on students, leading to anxiety that can hinder their true performance. This isn't healthy or productive for learning. Moreover, final exams frequently encourage superficial learning, a last-minute rush to memorize facts that are quickly forgotten after the test is over. This, quote, cramming culture does not foster deep understanding or a genuine love for learning. Exams also fail to capture the full range of a student's abilities, such as creativity, critical thinking in practical contexts, or teamwork skills. I strongly believe that alternative assessment methods, like well-designed projects, detailed portfolios, and consistent continuous assessment, offer a much better path forward. These approaches allow students to learn more deeply and meaningfully. They provide opportunities to demonstrate a wider variety of talents and skills. They can make learning more engaging and relevant to students' lives. Our goal should be to create an education system that nurtures curiosity, encourages exploration, and develops lifelong learners. It's time we embraced more modern, holistic, and student-centered ways to understand what our students truly know and what they are capable of achieving. Let's focus on growth, not just grades from one single test.
Thank you. To conclude, I want to emphasize the enduring value of final exams. Final exams provide an objective and standardized benchmark. This allows us to compare student performance fairly across different schools and regions, which is essential for progression to higher education and employment. They also play a crucial role in preparing students for the inevitable pressures of university life and future careers, where they will often be required to perform under timed conditions and demonstrate comprehensive knowledge. The discipline and rigorous study habits that exams encourage are valuable skills that extend far beyond the classroom. They teach responsibility and the importance of sustained effort. While I acknowledge concerns about stress, the answer is not to eliminate a vital tool, but to improve it, and to better support students in managing that stress. If we remove final exams, we risk a decline in academic rigor. We might find it harder to ensure students are truly prepared for advanced studies, and standards could inadvertently fall. Therefore, instead of discarding final exams, let's focus our energy on making them as effective and fair as possible, ensuring they accurately reflect understanding. We must also provide students with the resources and strategies they need to succeed. Exams still hold an important and necessary place in a robust education system.
Thank you, Ms. Chen and Mr. Miller, for this insightful discussion. We heard Ms. Chen advocate for less stressful, holistic assessments showing broader skills. Mr. Miller defended exams as objective, preparing students for pressure and motivating study. This is a complex topic with valid points on both sides. The best approach needs careful thought. Thank you to our audience for joining us. We hope this discussion helps you reflect on student assessment.